It looks good.
And then I'm going to wait until we're officially live on my end here.
Mm-hmm.
Ah! All right. It appears that we are live here on YouTube. Episode 2, the Steelers by Joey podcast. Today I'm joined by a good friend of mine, Neil, the Steelers page. Neil, how are you doing today?
How's it going, man?
So today, Neil, I don't know if you watched that Steelers game yesterday. No. Where do we even begin?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna have to put on the offense for this one. Yeah. So I decided to be a little bit more dramatic. This team sucks, man. This team sucks. There's really no other way to put it. I don't really know what to say. Defense sucks. Offense is abysmal. Special teams looks faulty. And the coaching staff. Don't even get me started with that. I know people. Or no, go ahead. Tell me what you think.
No, you go ahead. I just think the whole is bad, and no one's gonna ever blow it up.
Of course,
never gonna get blown up. That's the thing. We don't rebuild. We reload. The standard is the standard. All of that. It's just a combination of things that is never gonna get fixed. But continue.
I know it's like you're saying. I've said it time and time again. Okay, the standard and this tradition shit. Excuse my French. It's costing us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's costing us. Like, big time. It's like you look at all these other teams, you know, like the one dismantled by yesterday, and you look at how they're run. That's like the ideal way an NFL team, really, not only a football team, really any team should be run, any sport, you know. Change. The Steelers aren't really willing to make change like on the get-go. Does that make sense? Like,
no. Yeah, definitely. I think the Bills are the model for how teams should build their franchise. They started off, they blew it all up.
Right.
And they drafted Josh Allen, who was, a big flyer hit or miss guy. Nobody really knew how he was going to turn out. And he turned out awesome, and it worked out in their favor, and they just built around him. And it took time, but look at them now. They're a wagon. They're unstoppable.
Because they took their time. That's why. I guess another phrase you could use it is for they cut out the dead weight, you know? I mean, you remember a couple of years ago, they were the bottom of the barrel team that they had always been until, they decided they brought in a new GM, brought in a new regime, brought in a new coach. They were willing to like I said, change. They had already been tanking, of course, but tanked for a quarterback, signed free agents, traded for Stephon Diggs, got Gabe Davis, built, brought in some scrappy guys, built a mammoth defense. You know what I mean? Slowly but surely. The thing is, you look at that team, then you look at the Eagles. Like, take a look at the Eagles. Like, look at them. They're undefeated. Why? Because they took their time, after maybe 2019, 2020, things started to look really bleak for them because, Wentz, they didn't really know what was happening with him. Wideout sucked. Team was lacking in talent. And now, just a few years later, they look like the favorite. Might be the favorite. I mean, look at what their team's doing. Look at how much fun they're having.
Defense. Oh yeah, I want to go out there and play for Nick Sirianni. He sounds awesome. I love Nick Sirianni.
He's brilliant. He's a brilliant coach. I mean, at first, like a lot of people, you're always skeptical about a head coach hire like that, but the dude has done phenomenal. I mean, when you look at Philly, people are like, oh, should they have drafted Hurts? Did they draft Hurts to even play QB? People were even calling for Howie Roseman's job. Now they're saying he might be the best executive in the league. Probably is at this point.
I think so.
Yeah,
Howie Roseman.
Howie
probably.
Roseman's phenomenal.
Oh yeah, Howie Roseman's probably my favorite G isn't Omar Khan in the NFL, and I know nothing about Omar Khan. That's just Steelers bias for you. But the Eagles and the Bills, it feels like they're both these poster childs for how to build a team. And look at them. Is it crazy to say they're on a collision course for the Super Bowl? Are we looking at a Super Bowl? I think that's what we're looking at right now. But you know what neither of those teams did? You know what neither of them did? Neither of them drafted a running back in the first round. None of them did that. But that's different. We'll get into Najee and everything in between a little bit later. Wanted to answer Sam Keith's comment here. He says, Joey, if Canada gets fired, what do we do next, knowing we won't bring in an outside play caller? I want to say I think we're stuck with Matt Canada this year. I don't think that Mike Tomlin will fire a coordinator in season. He never has. Mike Tomlin and his coordinators, that's a bad history right there to be with. But I think we're stuck with Matt this year. He's not going to fire Matt Canada middle of the season. And if he does, what's he going to promote? The assistant tight ends coach? Then what are we doing? Then we're really screwed. We're going to wonder why the offense still sucks. Nothing's going to change this year. The offense you see right now is what we're dealing with for the rest of the year, at least. Yeah,
no, the problem is the offense is how do I say it? It is much more than just Canada. Like, don't get me wrong, I think he's probably the biggest issue to me. But even then, like, dude, I don't even think quarterback is a top 3. When you looked at Kenny, like, yeah, okay, he threw the ball a lot. Yeah, the Bills' defense was banged up. He threw, he had 300 yards plus passing. But anybody who thinks he's to blame for the game yesterday is wrong, okay? Because the problems on offense go way past the quarterback. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think the offensive line, for the most part, has played solid this season. I'm not saying
I've been very pleasantly surprised by the offensive line, and I don't think quarterback play was never the issue for me. I never thought that was an issue at all. And everybody pins me as a Kenny Pickett hater. I just don't understand the timeliness of when he was thrown in. If Tomlin wanted him to start this early in the year, you should have started him week 1. You should have started him week 1 and let him learn. Because now you have him facing 4 top 5 defenses his first 4 starts. That is terrible. That should not happen to your young quarterback.
He should have started. Yeah, he should have started from the get-go. I don't know how you can look at how he played in the preseason, and not only that, okay, let's be real. He's like, what, going to be 25 soon? Maybe he is 25. I'm not 100% sure. But look, he's going to, if you want him to be the franchise guy, then he was going to face teams like Cincinnati anyways. So he may as well just started in week 1 to, quote unquote, rip the Band-Aid off,
Yeah.
Just do it. You have nothing to, like, it's like you're saying, my biggest problem with Pickett, I said this way this week, whenever. The biggest problem with Pickett that I had, my biggest worry was that this dude is facing a gauntlet. Look at what happened yesterday. We all knew that coming, probably, right?
Oh, yeah.
I got to face Tom Brady and a Super Bowl contending Bucks. After that, he has to face the Dolphins in South Beach, and then he has to face arguably the league's best team on the road. Like, you're throwing him to the fire, dude. I'm sorry. Again, maybe when they get to the weaker opponents, it'll be better. And I get that it's good to get in these games for him because it's growing pains. He's a rookie. It's gonna happen. I don't have a problem starting him. I do think they're better off with him than Mitch. But at the same time, it's like I'm saying, the quarterback thing isn't the biggest problem at all. I think a bigger problem is wide receiver, running back. I think, I don't know, man. It might be time to fucking cut ties with Claypool. I mean, maybe Johnson. I don't know. I mean, look, you've seen how he's played this season. Look at Johnson. He got paid. He's getting paid the money he just got, and he's a draft machine.
I was on here last week. Last week, I was talking about how I like Omar Khan and the timeliness and when he gets contracts done. And the bad side of that is you get situations like Deontay Johnson right now, where we're all kind of sitting here thinking, oh my God, we're paying him $13.5 million this year. He's terrible. And luckily, we're not paying Chase Claypool anything. I don't think there's any way we pick up his 5th year. I don't think there's any way. He's terrible. He's a diva. He's got issues. He's a fan favorite, but for what? I've never been a Chase fan.
Oh, I don't think he's. I think his days of being a fan favorite are over. Like, people are starting to see. Look, they already saw what. You remember what happened at Vikings game last year where he did his little gesture? When we were
he did his little dance.
That was the breaking point. You think anybody's a fan favorite? No. Fan favorite wise, man, there's like 2-3 players on this team that we all really love, and that's TJ being one of them. Minka, the stars. You look at Claypool, man. He's a non-factor. He plays. It's like people are always saying he's what is he, like 6'4", 6'5", and he plays like he's below 6 feet. You know, look at that throw by Pickett last week. He botched that ball and led to an interception. Like, his first pass was a good one, yet it led to an interception. It was his fault. You know, he has a defensive back on him that is much shorter and not as strong as he is, and he still can't come down with it. Like, at the very least, deflect it, man. Deflect it forwards. That way they don't catch it. You know what I mean? But yeah, he's pretty much a non-factor at this point. I think Calvin Austin could take his job soon. Like, he probably will, because
I'd be fine with that.
When you look at what Calvin Johnson is projected as, I mean, come on. He's a speed demon. I'd rather give him a shot than what Claypool's doing. He's doing nothing. Nothing. So
what is Claypool? That's what I've been trying to talk about. He's not a possession. He's not a speed guy by any means. He's not a jump ball guy. What is his purpose? What does he do well?
Nothing. He has a good frame, but he doesn't use it.
He's got good physical tools. That's what he does. He's a baseless 6'4" figure out running routes, and it is depressing to watch. I mean, you saw him catch his first reception yesterday. He was out there talking shit to the defensive back, and I'm like, all right, I get it, man. That happens, but you had like 6 catches on the year for 40 yards. You need to chill out. You were in the offseason talking about how you're a receiver. You're not a top 3 receiver on this football team.
He's not. He's not. Look, I'm telling you, like, and then we have him. We already know he's kind of a knucklehead. Then you have Johnson. Dude, what is he saying to these reporters today, man? Talking about, I'd rather see the fans come out here and try this stuff, man. See how they like it. That is like a horrible thing to say.
I never understood the logic of it. You know, the reporters are like, oh, what do you think of the fans? And he's like, oh, well, I'm better at, I'd like to see you out here. Like, that logic, that just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know what he's thinking there.
We're not the athletes, you know? And then this guy, honestly, man, like, he goes on Twitter all the time, tweeting cryptic little quotes, man. Like, you need to stop that shit, man. Get in the lab, you know? Start catching the ball. You saw that pass in the first quarter yesterday. He dropped it, almost led to a pick. You know what I mean? Like,
literally hit him right in the hands.
The same thing happened before they benched Mitch last week, dude. The pass went through his hands. It was picked off. Like, that's the second time that's happened, dude. Like, he's getting paid, like, what is it? I mean, at least $13 million right now.
13.5 is his salary this year.
So it's like, you are supposed to be wideout 1, okay? You're supposed to be numero uno, security blanket, whatever. You're doing anything but that right now, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think I'd bench him maybe. I don't know if I bench him, but I'd at least think about it.
Calvin Austin comes back. I think you got to get him reps. You got to see what he's got. I mean, who else do we have? I mean, Steven Sims, he's more of our return guy. I just want to say I couldn't believe my eyes when James Pierre was out there fumbling the kickoff yesterday. I about lost my mind. I that Steven Sims had some eye injury or something pregame, but then he was out there the second kick. So I'm just very confused. I would love to know. Hopefully somebody tweets something out. We get an update on that. I thought that was hilarious. But on top of all, do we think who is more to blame on the offense? We know Matt Canada. I would say Matt Canada is the main issue on this football team right now. He is the first thing. Season ends. First thing I'm doing is firing Matt Canada. What has to be done on the offense? Because we know the receivers have issues, but I don't really see any of those going away. I mean, we're stuck with Deontay, more or less, and we have Claypool for at least another year. I don't know what ties with him, still on a rookie deal. That'd be kind of interesting. We're actually pretty thin at receiver, I'd have to say. I mean, we know Pickens is what he is, but I want to talk about the running backs, I guess, now. Najee Harris, what's he averaging? 3.2 yards a carry this season? Yesterday, his stat line was 11 carries for 20 yards. That is terrible. Simply.
Yeah, I think people are saying he's still playing hurt. I think that might be the case, but if you're hurt, and you're playing this badly, you need to bench yourself, man. Because when you've seen Jaylen Warren in the limited snaps he's looked good. So look, last year we gave him the benefit. Like with Canada, the O-line sucked last year, but now it's massively improved. He's still he has seemingly regressed. Unless if he's not playing hurt, then he's just straight up regressed. Because we all gave him a pass because of the O-line being the worst in the league, and he still had over 1,000 yards in scrimmage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now everybody's saying, his vision sucks. I mean, if you go back and look at the snaps behind, the back camera view where they show on the running plays, you can see the holes, the lanes he's getting. He doesn't know how to bounce it to the outside. Instead, he rather would just nose dive into the pile right in front of him. I don't know if it's because he maybe lacks speed, maybe he has bad vision, maybe he's hurt. I don't know what it is, but you need to bench him at this point. You need to. Something has to give. Like I said, Warren has looked good, dude. He has. He's looked good in the very, very limited action he's gotten. So I would bench Harris because look, it's either he's hurt or he just isn't playing good. Either way, he needs to take a back seat. So I would give Warren more carries. As for wideouts, I mean, the only one really have, like I said, Pickens. Pickens is a given. He's awesome. Even he's one of the very few bright spots.
I wanted to mention this. Jaylen Warren actually outsnapped Najee yesterday. I don't know if you knew that. Jaylen Warren played 38 offensive snaps. Najee played 37. And Mike Tomlin said after the game that everything's on the table. He'll start benching players, firing coaches. I think that's bullshit. I don't think all options are on the table. Whatever you want to think of what he said there. But I think maybe he was referencing, we see a little bit more Jaylen Warren. I know Benny Snell football, the joke, why don't we give Benny Snell a carry? What do we have to lose? What is Benny Snell known for? 2-yard carries. That's what we're getting with Najee now. That's what we're looking at with Najee Harris running the ball. So if Benny Snell breaks off a 15-yard run, I'll be the happiest man alive. I just want to see some semblance of a running game back on this offense because we need to take pressure off Kenny Pickett because, like we said, he's being thrown into the fire here, facing 4 top 5 defenses in his first 4 games. And then he gets a bye week, and then who does he have to play? The Cincinnati Bengals? Or no, I believe he has to play the Saints first, who their defense isn't no joke. Then the Bengals defense is tough. Bengals in division is terrible. I mean, it's not good. It's not good, Neil.
It's not good at all. I mean, the schedule was never going to be easy. We should have, I think the team has just mismanaged Kenny badly. I'm not just talking about coaches. I'm talking about who's around him as well. Everybody's around him, Wide receivers not helping him. Running game's not helping him. You're saying our running backs running game sucks. The last time this team had a really good running game was when we had James Conner that one year when Le'Veon sat out. I mean, that was the last time we had an offense worth anything. 2018. That was the last time. It's been 4 years, dude. You know? So what I'm essentially saying is that since AB and Le'Veon skipped town, the offense. I mean, look at 19. 19 Roethlisberger was out. That's unfortunate. 2020. I mean, they did good, but eventually wheels fell off per usual. Last year, we all know about last year.
Last year.
Roethlisberger was, his last dance. I mean, it wasn't good. And now this year, it's just bad, man. And that's the thing. Like we're saying, Kenny's being thrown into the fire. Again, it's good to get going the way because you're facing the best of the best. But at the same time, it's like they're not doing anything to help him. I mean, it's like him and Pickens are really the only players on this team who seem to give any sort of
to care. Yeah.
Care. Like, look, man, I'm saying it. These guys don't care. They don't. You saw that thing about Arthur Mollett, what he said yesterday. Like, that's the thing, man. Like, and I want to dig into that a little, of course, but it's like we're no fun. We haven't. I don't feel like we've been fun for a while. I mean, we had that little 2020 run, undefeated thing, but
that 2020 run was depressing. I can't believe when people romanticize that. It was 11-0 to 12-4 in a first-round loss to the Browns. That is not something to talk about. That's a season I would rather forget. That was terrible.
Not to mention, so really, who cares?
Yeah, it was bad. It was just a bad year.
That's the thing, man. I want the, it's like what I'm saying. The players, they just don't care, man. They don't. It's plain and simple. They don't care. And the thing is, like, I want them to care, have fun. Look at, like, we're talking about these top teams. Like, when you look at, like, we were talking about the Bills and Eagles. Like, you look at them, dude, they're having fun because they know they're those guys. They know they're good. They know when they go into a game that there's a very good chance they're going to come out on top. Like, I want that for this team, man. Like, more than anything, I just want to see, like, one time where they can just be that team, like, dominant, like, having fun. But it's always something. Always. And I don't know if that's because of talent, bad coaching, carefree attitudes. I don't know what it is, but I've always wanted this team to be like, that team where they're dominant and they're going out having a blast, smiles on their faces. Like, we want to see that. But look, man, it seems like the fans care more than they do at this point. Being honest.
It really does. It really hurts the fans more than it hurts the players whenever we lose, it seems like. I mean, it seems like Mike Tomlin is coaching this team like who knows his boss won't fire him.
Exactly.
And I think that no matter everybody can talk about the fire Mike Tomlin stuff. I want to get into that a little bit later, obviously. But I think this year, no matter how bad, if we go out there and we win like 4 games, which is what I'm at, by the way, I'm at like 4-13 is my record prediction right now. And I think that's generous, quite honestly. 4-13 is my official record prediction as of right now. I said 7 wins last week. I've gone down 3 games. That's where I am right now. I think no matter how bad we are and how high of a draft pick we get, Mike Tomlin will get at least 1 year, 1 full year of just tanking, which I think tanking would solve a lot of our issues.
Absolutely, dude.
It would give us a start like we've been saying, and that's what I want for this team. I have not seen this team go out and dominate a football game since we played the Browns in 2020 and beat them by 31. I haven't, because whenever we have leads, we choke them. And every game, it seems like it's coming down to the last couple seconds. And then we have games like the Vikings, where the Vikings should have beat us by 50, but they suck, so they let us back in. The Bills yesterday. It's just, I have not seen this team put up. They either get blown out or they can't hold on to a lead. And I don't understand what is not happening, what's not there. It's just a block. It's like a mental block that we have. I just don't understand it.
No, so that's the thing, man. Like okay, so you're talking about that. That I actually saw this tweet earlier. So I think it said something like from like 1991 to like 2020, they have had like there's only like been a couple games from 91 to like 2020 where they've had deficits at halftime of like 20 or more, I think. I don't know what it said. But then in like the last 12 games, they've had like 4 of those. Okay. So you remember how last year, like there were like so many games where they were just facing massive deficits at halftime? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So why is that a thing to begin with? Like, okay, we need to be real for a second. That Vikings game, honestly, they shouldn't have been down like that to begin with. Okay.
They shouldn't have. That's what I'm talking about. We let games like that get out of hand, and we're just clawing our way back in. And that game in particular I bring up because it's never seen as a game where the Vikings blew us out. It's always seen as, oh, we almost had a great comeback. No, we shouldn't have been in that game to begin with.
Yeah, there shouldn't have been. Like, they shouldn't have been in that hole to begin with. They shouldn't. Why are you down 23-0 to a 5-7 Vikings team? Why? Like, what? There's no excuse for that, man. None. And then, look, man, I know the same thing happened with the Chiefs and the Bengals. Mind you, both those teams were very good last year. It's still no excuse. So, it's like, you're right, like what you're saying, man. We need to either just throw in the towel or step up. And I think at this point, look, man, like you're saying, a tank year would help. You're right. It would. I mean, look at what we could do. You know, if we do get the first pick, we could have whatever we want. We could draft Will Anderson.
Frozen on my side.
Oh, you're
here
good
now?
Yeah, you're good now. We could draft Will Anderson. We could trade it. I mean, we could do a lot of things with it. But, you know, a tank year wouldn't be bad. It wouldn't be bad to just have a year. I mean, it sucks to suck, but in the long run, it would be good. We haven't really got into it, but look at how bad the defense is without Watt, man. Like, really, it's really bad, dude. Like, I didn't think it'd be this bad. I mean,
be this bad. It's insane how much of an impact he has. And I agree with you. Me and Parker, I don't know if you're in my Instagram live last night or not, but me and Parker were actually talking about at what point do we start rooting for losses for this team? Because we want this team to win. We want the best for this team. Obviously, we love this team. But at what point do we say, all right, we suck, let's just tank? Because I worry that we're gonna have a Steeler way year where we're gonna scrape out like 6 wins and we're gonna have hope and we're gonna miss out on like an elite prospect, and we draft mid, we stay mid, and we continue to have seasons like this where we're just questioning what are we doing.
That's what I'm telling you. Like, one problem with the Steelers, like I've seen it in a lot of sports, like not just football. I've seen it. Like some organizations, the people within them just don't know how to swallow their pride for once. For the sake of the future or whatever, or the present, whatever it may be. Okay, like, let's be honest, man. It was like this past offseason was probably the first time I've seen them be that active in free agency. You know what I mean? But let me ask you a question. Like, why is it they're not always that active? Like, okay,
I've never understood that.
Like, what? Okay, what is the standard? The standard tradition, all this other. Oh, it's all about the draft. Okay, if you're going to be building through the draft, like pretty much solely, you cannot be missing really hardly any picks. Look at the Kendrick Green pick, dude. He was a 3rd-round pick. You know, I think people forget that. Look at Claypool was a 2nd-round pick. We don't know what's going to happen to him.
I just want to interject for 1 second. Our last 4 top picks, Terrell Edmonds, all right? Then we have Devin Bush, Chase Claypool, and then Najee Harris. how many of those are extremely impactful, great players that we think will be on this team for the foreseeable future?
The only one I think maybe is Edmonds. Maybe.
I think Edmonds is fine. Edmonds is one of our better defensive players.
He's a good safety. He's been getting better like every season. So
I think he gets a lot more flack than he should because he was a first-round pick when he was. Yeah. I think he was like a third-round prospect in 2018. I remember being blown away when we picked him. But
yeah, I mean he's been good. I mean, he's a good solid player. He and Fitzpatrick are great. So, but yeah, no, you can't be affording. You can't afford to miss on really hardly any picks. Like I'm saying, like you know, Harris, non-factor. Claypool sucks. Devin Bush, oh my god, man.
Oh, Devin Bush. Don't even get me started on Devin Bush.
Man, he was a one-year wonder. But yeah, I mean, it's like, and then it's not even just the first pick they make. It's like I'm saying, look at Deontay. Deontay was like a 4th-round pick. Kendrick Green. I don't really want to bash the guy because he still has a good future, but I mean, I don't know, man. Like Freiermuth, he's been good, but it's like we hardly use him to begin with. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, let's be honest.
No, I know what you mean. Like Freiermuth, to me, at the time, I understood the pick. Like at that point, we were going best player available. Freiermuth's a great player, great guy, but in the grand scheme of things, Creed Humphrey was still on the board. Creed Humphrey is a top 2 center in this league. I think he's insane. He's awesome. And he was who I wanted because 2020 was the year we really, really needed offensive line. And we picked Najee instead. We could have taken Creed Humphrey in the 1st round. It would have been a reach at the time. We would have looked like geniuses. And then taken a guy like Javonte Williams in the 2nd round.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, dude. Like, you've seen, I know Williams, he got hurt, unfortunately. But what he did was rookie year. I mean, he was a bowling ball. He was a bowling ball. He was a bright spot on that Broncos team. And no, like the Chiefs not only got him, they got Trey Smith in like the 6th round, dude. Mm-hmm. The 6th round. Do you know, like, and the Steelers picked Green in the 3rd. Like, really, dude? Really? See, that's what I'm talking about. You can't be missing on picks like that. You can't be misevaluating talent like that. You can't. You can't do it. If you're not going to be active in free agency and start going after, I'm not saying you got to sign every top free agent every single year. That's not what I'm saying. But, like, it's like every offseason, it's the same thing, you know? You're never active. Free agency, they don't really sign any top guys. I mean, like I said, this past offseason was a little different. They added some talent. Good for them. But, I mean, it's not really making a difference right now.
It really isn't. And I said last week, too, and I'll continue to reiterate this, and throughout the season and throughout the offseason, I'm very excited to see how Omar Khan attacks free agency because, like I said, he gets contracts done in a timely manner. So my, logic leads you to believe he's going to be a little bit more active in free agency than Kevin Colbert ever was. He's going to maybe sign a big name because we do have a good bit of money this offseason. He's going to make some moves, hopefully improve us. That's why I'm saying you tank, you give us some money, an offseason to build around a new GM who wants to rejuvenate the team, and you give us a top prospect, and we're fighting. We have a young quarterback who we don't know what Kenny Pickett is quite yet. Let's be honest. Really, he looks fine. We'll get into Kenny Pickett in a little bit here. But I'm very excited to see how Omar Khan attacks free agency.
Yeah, no. That's the thing when you're a tanking team, like when you're one of those teams that's, not really good. You have money. You have draft capital, You can maneuver and improve in a lot of different ways. So that's what I want to. I really hope that Omar Khan goes off and brings us more talent in the spring, via free agency. Like I said, you need to do that because, look, no team's going to draft a star every single pick. But it's like we're saying, dude, like what the players we've drafted, the last couple of draft classes have really been underwhelming, and that's why we're in the position we are now. I mean, we're talking about Pat, dude. He's a great player. He has tremendous potential. He's done good, but it's like he's it's like here's the thing. Like this year, he's hardly done anything because of the plays we're running.
We've hardly used
Everybody's
him.
saying we don't use the middle of the field, so.
And he has a concussion issue too. That's another thing I forgot to mention clearly. He has a concussion, and this is his third concussion in under 12 months. So we're looking at a multi-week absence from Pat Freiermuth, and we'll turn to Zach Gentry, who is just kind of, I don't know, he's kind of just a guy out there, quite honestly. He don't bring anything too special, I don't think. But we got to start thinking about Freiermuth's future too, outside of football, him as a person.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
want him. I don't want him going out there and getting his head knocked off for a team that just doesn't feel like they want to win.
No, honestly, like it's like you're saying, like if I know he has had those concussion issues, and if that's the case, maybe he should just sit out the year, not risk anything further. I might. There's really no point playing right now. I don't like their chances.
That's what I think they should. I think they should do with TJ. There is no need to rush TJ back for this team.
None.
Absolutely no reason.
The season was over when he got that injury, because look at how bad they're playing now. What difference is it? He comes back and they're already like what 1-7, 1-8.
I think they're 0-8 all time without TJ. 0-8.
Like, give or take some. They haven't won without him. I know that. So, I honestly agree with you there. He himself probably wants to come back because he's a superstar. He's hungry.
Yeah.
Good for him. But shoot, man, you're right, Sean. So just keep him out.
Love TJ. The draft class this past couple of years has been shaky. Free agency. I hope to see some more from Omar Khan. I want to ask you one more thing before we segue into Kenny Pickett talk. What is, in your memory, the best Steelers free agency signing you've ever seen that you can remember? It's a tough question. It's a tough question because there aren't many. My answer, I'll give you my answer while you think here. Joe Hayden. I think Joe Hayden is probably the best free agency signing we have ever made that I can remember.
Honestly, yeah, you're right. That'd be my answer, because when they got him, dude, if you look at before they signed him, in 2017, like even when they signed him, before he even played for them, he was their best corner. And
yeah,
he I know the team didn't had a playoff blunder like usual, but that team doesn't go there have the season they had in 2017 without him, and even more so, he was a very good corner. Now he retired and everything, but yeah, no, it'd have to be Hayden because he elevated a horrible secondary. I mean, he was a one-man army basically in the early years. That's the thing. Before they traded for Minka, the defense was the Achilles heel. The secondary was the Achilles heel. And he was basically a one-man. So yeah, no, I'd have to say Hayden for sure.
All right, Kenny Pickett talk, making his first NFL start against the #1 defense in the NFL, probably the best team in the NFL right now. I think they're better than the pulling up his stats here. All right, Kenny Pickett. I want to give a letter grade to Kenny Pickett here. His stats yesterday against the Buffalo Bills: 34 of 52, 327 yards, and a pick. Making your rookie quarterback start his first game on the road against the Buffalo Bills is terrible. We all agree on that. 52 times is absurd to have him be throwing the ball. You completely abandon the run game. You give Warren more snaps. I'm even considering giving Benny Snell snaps at this point. Not a meme. I'm trying everything. I'm doing jet sweeps to Claypool because that is about what he does best, because he's about useless. I'm giving the ball to Gunner on jet sweeps. I'm doing screen. I'm getting some semblance of a running game, even if it's a little screen pass. Kenny Pickett, like we said earlier, quarterback play has never been the issue with this football team.
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett, everybody's going to get mad at me. I just know. but I'm telling you, it's never been an issue. My grade for Kenny Pickett stays the same as last week at a C. I think he looked great. He had, everybody's like, oh, he has that it factor. He stood in the pocket. He threw the ball 52 times. He was efficient. He didn't make too many mistakes. He didn't make, a head scratcher. I mean, his pick was pretty bad, let's be honest. That was completely on him, just a bad read, but that happens. You expect that, young quarterback, whatever. I give him a C. I don't think he did anything super duper special. He didn't convince me that he's the guy. I've always said, you give me 8 games with a quarterback, I will tell you exactly what he is. I have 6 games left with Kenny Pickett before I'm going to come on here and give you my verdict on him. And I think even you give him what is he going to start, 13 games? I think we'll know exactly what Kenny Pickett is. And if he doesn't start to show flashes of, being a transcendent elite quarterback, you might start talking about drafting a quarterback. I'm completely serious.
Yeah.
I don't have any time to wait around.
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying there. It's hard to grade him yesterday because it's like everything around him went wrong pretty much. When you look at, he showed flashes. I would give him personally, I give him like a B-, all things considered, because C is fair, but wide receivers, I mean, other than Pickens, were horrible, dude. I mean, we all know how bad Deontay was. Drop machine. What else is new? Claypool was a non-factor. What else is new? Running backs were a non-factor. You get what I'm saying?
He's kind of working from nothing. He's working from mid, and it's kind of making him look. I don't want to say Pickett looks mid, but like I said, I say C because I'm kind of neutral on him at this point. I don't. Yeah. I'm not coming on here and saying he sucks. I've never said that. I'm saying he hasn't done anything to really impress me so far. 6 quarters he's played and no passing touchdowns is what we're looking at right now. I think that's a stat worth looking at.
Of course, yeah. Again, look, the thing is, like, if we're comparing him to Mitch, I think that the problem with I'm scared. Like, that's just me. Like, he didn't play like with any confidence, none. Like, and he was scared to make a throw. Pickett not so much. Don't get me wrong, he wasn't perfect, far from it. But I think the biggest problem was that the receivers weren't giving him any help. Well, other than Pickens, of course. But like I said, Johnson he was a liability. Claypool was agent 0 again. I mean, what's going on with Harris? We already talked about that. He did show some mobility. He did show a couple throws that were really, really good. But yeah, it's hard to judge him on that game because of who he was playing and how bad the coaching and players were around him. Does that make sense?
No, I agree. I get what you're saying.
So it's hard for me to.
It's hard to judge him at this point. I think we're on the same page with that. I don't think you can really judge him, and I agree with you. I think Mitch playing scared, that's always kind of what he's been doing, and I think it was worse here because he came into Pittsburgh thinking that he was going to be the bridge guy and that they were going to draft more of a developmental quarterback. I still think the Steelers were under the impression that Kenny Pickett was not going to be there at 20, that he was always their quarterback 1, but they didn't really anticipate him being on the board for them at 20, taking a Malik Willis guy, Desmond Ridder, Matt Corral, whatever hodgepodge of those guys you want to take. I don't think they expected Kenny Pickett to be there. And as soon as they drafted Kenny Pickett, he's considered the most pro-ready. I have no doubt about that. I think he's coming in. He's played like a professional quarterback. But I think it messed with Mitch. And I know nobody wants to hear me talk about Mitch. I'm a big Mitch Trubisky fan, defender. Love that guy. But I agree with you. I think it was very unfair to Mitch. I don't think it was ever his fault. And I think it's impossible to judge Kenny Pickett right now.
It's hard. That's the thing. Like, it would
really he would really have to do something amazing. Like, he would have to beat one of these top defenses for me to even, like, move from a C. Because I don't want to say he sucks because he's playing these defenses, and I'll give him that excuse for a while here. But he's also not, like, he's not making the offense any better. But I don't think we expected him to come in and make this offense look like an NFL offense, because it hasn't looked like anything close to that.
Of course, yeah. I think the biggest problem is that it goes hand in hand. You know, QB sometimes who's around them. You know, look, we all know Canada sucks. His scheme sucks. Too way too conservative. And again, my only problem with firing Canada is the fact that well, I'm afraid they're going to hire somebody worse to replace him somehow. You know what I mean? But it's like whoever's around him are really, really not doing him any favors. You know, his play caller, his receivers for the most part, his O-line's okay. It's not the best, but it did surrender 3 sacks yesterday. That's not good. So it goes hand in hand. Like I said, you know, he may have not played outstanding, but at the same time, who he's facing and who his help, you know, it doesn't help him. It doesn't. So again, it is impossible to grade him. If I was to say, I'd say again, like I said, a B minus.
Yeah.
But again, that's because it's like, it's like right in the middle. It's like nothing too great, nothing too terrible. You know, he just did his job. I guess that's the best way.
I mean, that's a fair way to put it. He went in and did his job. I think Mike Tomlin would put it that way. And Mike Tomlin would be, what would he say? He'd be satisfied with his efforts. I think that's where we're at with Kenny Pickett. Want to mention Cam Hayward's tweet. You saw it, Neil. We all saw it. For those of you that didn't see, Cam Hayward on Twitter earlier, I'll read it out loud. He retweeted a tweet that read, "I can't stand Tomlin, and he's a fraud and clown that's been carried by Ben his entire career. However, Cam Hayward was running 30 yards downfield again to make tackles that linebackers wouldn't make. Shut up, Ryan." Talking about Ryan Clark, who was very active on Twitter today, talking about the Steelers and the dysfunctions that they have. Deontay Johnson blocked Ryan Clark. Cam Hayward's retweeting replies telling Ryan Clark to shut up. But that first part of the tweet, calling Tomlin a fraud, saying he's been carried by Ben, is Tomlin losing the locker room at all? Cam Hayward's a big veteran guy. Cam Hayward did come on Twitter a little bit later and say, "Oh, my bad, guys." He said it was a butt tweet. I don't know how the hell you do that, Cam, but you read it, you saw it, and you retweeted it. What happened? Is Tomlin losing it here?
Well, look, I'll be the first one to tell you. Well, just like a lot of Steelers fans, I don't think Tomlin has been like, how do we say it? He's not like Bill Cowher was in the sense that he was an enforcer. What I mean by that is that he doesn't, I guess, iron fist, if that makes any sense. Like he doesn't. Yeah. Okay, so you remember a couple of years ago with the whole TikTok thing?
Oh yeah.
Everybody was complaining about that. Okay. Now, me personally, I didn't really care. You know, I wasn't on TikTok at the time, so I didn't, it was just whatever. I didn't care. But looking back at it, man, like the way the team was behaving, it just, I don't know. It kind of left a bad taste in your mouth. It did in everybody's. That's the way you want your locker room to behave. I'm who supported, staying home. Don't get me wrong, like I said, love it when they have fun. I said that I like it when they have fun earlier, but you want to do your little dances and all that. That's fine, but don't overdo it. I feel like they overdid it, and then before that, I mean, remember that whole thing with AB, the whole live stream thing. They beat Kansas City. That is another thing that's a problem, dude. Who does that? Who lets that happen? Tomlin has never been someone to me that's like, keeps. Everybody always says he's a player's coach, and that's been completely evident. So, I don't know if he is losing the locker room. I don't think he's locker room. Rather, I just think that he doesn't whip him into shape enough. Does that make sense? Like he doesn't.
No, I agree. I don't think he's an enforcer, and I think we're seeing frustration from players like Deontay and Cam because Deontay's one of the more veteran guys on the team. Honestly, the team is very young. We forget that. I just, how do I want to say it here? The situation we're in is unprecedented. I mean, I personally went into the season expecting more or less of the same, the standard, your casual 8 to 9 win season. We will out some wins against teams we shouldn't win, and we have, a loss to like I've said since the schedule came out, oh, we're losing to the Jets, but we're beating the Buccaneers. I'm so close to that happening. I'm so very close, Neil. I need the Bucs. I need a Bucs win. Anyways, I digress. I think the situation we're in is unprecedented. I don't think Mike Tomlin's ever had to deal with anything like it. We started out 1-3 last year, and then we had a 4-game win streak, I think it was a 4-game non-losing streak, as me and Parker memed about it because we had that tie with the Lions. That ended the season right there. That was bad. It was all downhill after that. But I think even Tomlin right now, he's like, man, the schedule don't get any easier. I gotta, what changes does he even make at this point? Like we're talking about giving Jalen Warren snaps at corner. Corner is probably the weakest point on our whole team, and we're razor thin there to begin with. I don't even know what we do. Carolina, there's rumors of them having a garage sale. Do we offer them some draft capital for Dante Jackson? I don't think they'd give up J.C. Horn. I'd love J.C. Horn in the Steelers jersey, but I don't know, like a third, fourth rounder for Dante Jackson. I think they just paid him though, so I don't even think that works. So I just don't think that he knows he's kind of stuck this year. And yeah, I just worry that when Watt comes back, like I said, we're going to will our way to a couple wins and we're going to miss out on a true tank year when I think right now this is what we're looking at.
So, talking about the Panthers, look, if you could pull something off like, go and trade us this second J.C. Horn. You can do, if you can even pull, you do it.
Oh, if he can pull that off, Omar Khan, I will never slander you once on this podcast if you bring me J.C. Horn.
Enough about how good Horn has been for them. Like, if they get him for a second rounder, especially like you're saying.
It's amazing.
Look, I don't even think the cornerback position is bad. From a starting perspective. I just don't think it's anything special. If you got somebody like Horn, it's special because then you have a top corner.
That's what I'm saying. All it takes is one.
Yeah.
All it really takes is one truly elite guy, and you are set for years down the road.
Think about it like this, dude. But if they could get J.C. Horn for a second, you'd have Fitzpatrick, Edmonds, and Kellum, and you'd have Sutton playing the slot, or it could be Mollett sometimes, but
Levi Wallace in there, throw that in. That's a very solid group.
Yeah,
I like that group a lot better.
You could stuff around, of course. Not only wiggle room for like the pick, the first round you have. You don't have to decide if you want to. What's it? I don't know how you say
Keely Ringo. I mean, I don't even think he's a super duper elite prospect. I think he's like a mid first rounder. I don't think like the past couple of years we've had these elite corner prospects like Sauce Gardner, Derek Stingley, J.C. Horn, Pat Surtain, and I don't think there is one in this draft. So I think that's a need that will.
Of course,
there is none. There's nothing like Sauce.
None.
And that's
is going to be like he's going to take on. I'm not saying he's Darrelle Revis off the bat, but being that he plays for the Jets, I mean, and
he's going to be locked down for a decade at least.
Yeah, Sauce Island, whatever you want to call it, lost in the sauce. He's that guy. Like if you can get a J.C. Horn for a second, hey, you do it because it elevates your secondary that much. It does. Like when we had Hayden, he was cornerback 1. Everybody your own thing a lot more. I feel, actually they were leaning on Minka a lot yesterday because the cornerback got hurt. Literally all of them got hurt. But you bring in someone like that, I mean, you're set. You have a five secondary that can go at it. And then the front seven. You want to draft Will Anderson? I'm not going to say no. Why wouldn't you want Will Anderson?
I'm never going to complain about that.
Exactly.
Can you imagine T.J. Watt and Will Anderson?
I mean,
the Pittsburgh Steelers may never lose another football game again. You put DeMarvin Leal for a third-round pick has been about one of our best defensive players.
Oh,
he's a hit. He's a late-round hit.
It's funny, like people. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but before his last season,
he was a top prospect.
He was like the few mocks that had him going first overall. But again, that was
this was like last fall, last August or so. Yeah.
I think his last season wasn't all that, so stock kind of tanked a little bit. But he has been phenomenal, dude. I mean, that's what I mean. You need more picks like that. More picks like Green and
less picks that kind of seem like a reach. Like, I hate to pick on Pat, but I mean, Pat's a good example of a guy where you're like, we could have had something. Pat's a good player, but we needed O-line, man. I think the O-line's been fine this season, and I think if you want to talk to somebody and know how much they know about Steelers football, ask them about the O-line, because I'm telling you, this O-line has not been terrible. I mean, we went into the season thinking, oh yeah, this is a bottom 3 O-line. This is terrible. They're middle of the pack. They're solid. They're getting holes for Najee. He's not seeing them. They're protecting Pickett pretty damn well. I was surprised that Buffalo didn't have 12 sacks on Kenny Pickett, because last week I was talking about that insane defensive line that Buffalo has, and it didn't really seem to affect this offensive line as much as I thought it was. So I've been very impressed with the offensive line so far.
Yeah, Chuks Okorafor has been phenomenal, dude. Phenomenal. I'm telling you, they are like a blind side away from being the unit they once were. I think that should be one of the biggest priorities, because if you you want to groom Pickett into the franchise guy, you have to get him someone who can protect his blind side. So I know Dan Moore has been really inconsistent. So I think that if you're not going to, you want to trade down, not take whatever it is, maybe accumulate more capital. I mean, that would be the only thing I think you could do, is that you trade down, maybe get tackle. I mean, that solves a lot of problems. And then, wide receiver. I think wide receiver. The Steelers, they're good with wide receivers. I mean, they've been good, dude. They know how to draft wideouts. I think you got to sign somebody though, But the offense, the offensive line. When you have an offensive line that can block and protect their quarterback well, I mean, dude, you're gonna have a lot more success on offense than if you have, because your QB has time to move around. It's just simple NFL logic, But if there's not someone to protect his blind side, I mean, how is he going to succeed? So I think that. But yeah, no, O-line right now is solid. It's not bad at all. I don't think it's bad. It's been a surprise, a really pleasant one. So
James Daniels has been fine. Mason Cole, I'm really surprised by. He's been fine.
Yeah, me too.
Kevin Dotson, I think, he might. Kevin Dotson, I don't know how I feel about him. I've been very critical of him the past couple of years. I've never been his biggest fan. But I do agree that the offensive line is, they're close. They're close. And I think they're one of the better units on this team, quite honestly. But all right, wrapping up the show here, we got the Bucks this weekend. Give me What do you expect? What are we thinking? Is there any hope for a win? The Bucks, the line opened this morning. Tampa Bay is an 8-point favorite, and the Steelers play at home. What are we expecting here this weekend?
So I think they have a way better shot of winning this game than they did against Buffalo, for sure. Tampa's a good team. They are a good team. They have the talent. Like I said, I do think they're still a title contender. But in some aspects, they've been a little underwhelming. Like, I feel like they should really be like 4-1 at least. I know they've had some injuries. But look, it's hard for me to think that the team they are right now is going to be able to beat Tom Brady. And their defense is still very good. I know Mahomes had his way with them, but Patrick Mahomes.
That's Patrick Mahomes.
Still a very good defensive unit. So, unfortunately, I don't, like you said, we're basically rooting for losses at this point. So, all I really want to see is just Pickett getting after it. Team getting after it. You can lose, but don't, like, you don't care. Don't get out again, So
I agree. I think we have, somewhat of a chance. I mean, last week we joked, oh yeah, we're beating the Bills, guys, we're winning. But I think, maybe we kind of have a chance. It would take a lot to go right. I think Kenny Pickett needs to go out and fire. He needs to, we need to get a little run game going. If it's with Jalen Warren, so be it. I don't care who runs the ball as long as we have some form of a run game. We got to get Deontay. You got to catch the ball. George Pickens got to continue to do what he does. And defense just has to play. I mean, they're playing Tom Brady. It's a tall task, especially for the way they've been playing. But we got to get some movement. We got to get Tom Brady to feel uncomfortable in the pocket because he's an old man. He can't move quite like he used to. We got to get him moving around. We got to force some stops. We can't continue to let these teams have their way on the offense. We simply can't expect Kenny Pickett to go out there and put up 30-plus points against Tom Brady. We simply can't do it. The defense needs to step up. I don't know if Ahkello Witherspoon's going to be back. I know he's been dealing with a hamstring, but hopefully we get him back. That'll help us. I mean, Jack Jones, I'm sure we were all watching the game yesterday thinking, who the hell is number 16? I've never seen this guy before in my life. But this week, I don't know. I'm thinking I want to see Kenny Pickett throw a touchdown. I've waited long enough. What are we thinking? I think 24-10 Buccaneers. I think we see a little bit of growth. I think 10 points. 10 points is very generous from this offense. I would be happy to see double digits this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, personally, I was kind of hopeful. 17 Buccaneers. It's probably
30-17. I'd like to see it.
If we want to talk about growth, I think that'd be great. Again, I don't expect to win at all. But I don't want to see them getting whipped around. Tired of seeing teams play with them, mess around with them, just walk all over them. I don't want to see that at all. I just want to see some fight, some effort, some improvement would be nice. That's all I really care about. Win or lose.
Some changes, Pickett growing.
Yeah.
Just overall growth. We're taking baby steps. You see, we're patient here. Neil, it's been fun. Do you have any final thoughts for the people? Anything at all?
Oh, no, man. Thank you, man. It was a pleasure. I would just say to them, be prepared for that season. It sucks to suck, like I said. But you got to remember, I guess, Rome wasn't built in a day. So
Rome was not built in a day. We'll talk about next week. I'd love to have you on in the future. You're wonderful. I love talking to you. I feel like we see eye to eye on a lot of things. We have the same ideas. We're thinking we're going to a game together this December. Looking forward to hanging out with you and Parker, just with the boys. But yeah, I guess that's it for this week. Can't wait for Sunday, guys. Steelers football. Bad news for Tom Brady. Kenny Pickett woke up this morning.
Today.
Yes. Let's get hyped. All right, Neil. It's been real. I appreciate you, dude.
You take care, man. Yeah, I'll see about getting back on here soon, but it was a pleasure, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man. We'll have you on soon. See you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in as always. And, you know,